So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to do a short reflection on something that links with our life and our faith. And today I'm going to be reflecting on the work of Christian Aid. Now, for those of you who join in regularly and watch regularly, you will remember that Edward did a talk about Christian Aid last week. However, I'm a trainee vicar, which means I basically have to copy what Edward does. So this week, I'll be talking about Christian Aid as well. I'm not sure if I'll do it as well as Edward did, but I won't be talking about various dodgy visits he had around various people's houses whilst doing the Christian Aid collection. You'll have to go back and look at last week's to find out what that was about. But I'm a huge fan of Christian Aid. I've got two friends who spent a lot of their working lives working for Christian Aid in Norfolk, so that's a shout out to Simon and to Julian, who have been excellent Christian Aid reps in this area. Christian Aid is, I want to talk about it today, not just to say, oh, let's support Christian Aid, but I want to just reflect on what it is that makes Christian Aid rather than any other kind of aid. In what ways does Christian Aid reflect and express our Christian faith? So I'm just going to put this bucket down. It will be available, or if you're online, you can give a donation available, but that's not necessarily the point of today's talk. I was looking at the Christian Aid website in preparation, and Christian Aid has a Bible verse which they feel is the core of their reason for being and the core of everything they do. And that Bible verse is 1 John 3 verse 18. Let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. Let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. And as that is the core of Christian Aid's work, in so many ways it's also the core of our Christian faith, as Jesus taught us to love God and to love our neighbour as ourselves. And what I particularly like about Christian Aid's approach to this is that they operate with both compassion and justice, truth and action. Christian Aid are one of the core members of the Disasters Emergency Committee. So you'll see whenever an international disaster happens, like the earthquake in Syria and Turkey, or the Pakistan floods, or the Haiti earthquake, appeals are generated from a single source. And Christian Aid is one of the charities that is core to those responses. Christian Aid will respond immediately to immediate need. It will feed the hungry. It will do things to look after the sick. It will put in housing. It will put in water. It will have an immediate compassionate relief to emergencies. But also, Christian Aid will speak truth. And we'll look for truth. Look for truth about what is the background causes to these international problems. What is the background cause to this conflict? What is the background cause to this hurricane or this flood? And so they will challenge injustice. They will challenge tax evasion of international companies that don't pay taxes, and so people don't get the benefit of their business. They will challenge climate change, recognising that climate change is one of the biggest drivers of what we used to call natural disasters. They have a campaign at the moment called Make Polluters Pay, which challenges fossil fuel companies to pay for the loss and damage experienced by victims of climate change. The example they use is that Shell made a profit of £32.2 billion last year 32.2 billion just in profit. And Pakistan, on the other hand, needs a mere 13 billion to recover from the climate change. So they're making the link between those companies that drive climate change and those people who suffer the most. But they have also historically made challenges about tax evasion, about unfair financial systems, international debt, corporate power. And so they are both dealing with immediate compassion to those people in need, a very direct loving your neighbour, but also loving in truth, in finding out the truth and in campaigning to change unjust structures. And for me, that represents the best of what it means to be a Christian. To be both compassionate on a personal level, to deal with people in a loving way, but also to be awake to the injustices of the world and to do what small things I can do to challenge those things. Because both compassion and justice are necessary, and both compassion and justice are expressions of loving our neighbour. One of the things that people often say to me is that, religion is a terrible thing. Christianity has caused so many problems. Conflict between religions has caused so many wars. But I would suggest to them they look at the Disasters Emergency Committee. And of the 15 organisations that make up that committee which deals, is a UK-based organisation, but it's the main aid agencies that respond to international disasters. Many of those 15 are faith-based organisations. Many of them are Christian-based organisations. Some of them were founded by Christians. Some of them continue to have Christianity as their core ethos. Not all of them, but some of them. And so I would suggest that a core aspect of Christianity and of the Christian faith is to love our neighbour in truth and in compassion. Both campaigning and loving directly are elements of what it means to be a Christian. And so back to Christian aid. It's good to support Christian aid. Many people will have made donations. And it's good to make that donation as an expression of our faith. But we can't just subcontract our faith to somebody else to express for us. We can't only give money to Christian aid and think, that's it, I've done my job, I've loved my neighbour. I don't think it's okay to just subcontract our faith, or to subcontract our expression of love and our expression of justice. We have to do it ourselves. We have to love our neighbour immediately beside us. We have to challenge injustice where we see it. For me, part of the Christian faith is that our doology is more important than our theology. So many Christians get tied up in what is right or wrong to believe. How exactly do we believe the Trinity? What do we know is the nature of Jesus? What of our personal morality is right or wrong? We get caught up in the theology. I would suggest that it's our doology that's more important. How do we express our Christian faith, rather than what do we believe about our Christian faith? So I hope that this Christian Aid Week, which finished last week, to be honest, but I'm still on the rail with this. So I hope that this Christian Aid Week inspires you to not only give to the charity, but also to express your faith directly as you love, not in words or speech, but in truth and action. compassion and justice. Thank you.